I don't even know if Paul had a real girlfriend. Should have talked to him more. About some real shit.
He would have liked that. I think he just wanted to feel seen.
I mean, we all do, right?
I don't want anyone to see who I really am. And yet to think I expected this little child to make me whole. And George couldn't. And work couldn't.
Why is it so hard for us to be happy?
Beef is the best shit I've seen in a while. I mean, truly, it is the best. Every single shot, every single character, every single moment in this 10-episode masterpiece is filled with so much love for the story that's being put forth. To be completely honest, this is the first A24 production I've fully watched, and wow, I was stunned. You can really tell every single cast member, director, showrunner, writer, stunt double, VFX artist, cameraman, producer, etc. put so much love and care in this project to the point where it truly reflected on the screen itself. Beef is funny, entertaining, action-packed, but most importantly, it's human. Look, if you're watching this video, you already know what happens. Big car chase leads to a major road rage between our two protagonists, Danny and Amy. This then leads to constant revenge plots, and it overall escalates into children being kidnapped and houses being robbed. This then brings Danny and Amy into the woods together, where they finally have a one-on-one conversation. After nearly killing each other, they start to understand one another. They start to empathize with one another. This is where they squash the beef. After this, one of the most shocking scenes in the entire show happens, where Danny gets shot by Amy's husband, George. The show then cuts to the hospital bed where Danny is now sitting after being shot. Danny is in a coma, but sitting next to him is Amy. Amy then goes over to Danny. She holds him, because she finally feels seen with someone. A character who once previously stated, "I don't want anyone to see who I really am," was finally seen. The entire show starts off with Danny, and in these first few scenes, we're able to establish a good picture in our heads of who he truly is. In the first scene, he's in line to return a bunch of hibachi girls to the store. He's already returned the girls 3 times, and you can already start to tell something is up. Even before he gets to the cashier, we notice Danny's impatience. His clear frustration with having to wait in the line, even if it's only for a minute. We eventually learn that the hibachi girls he was returning were a tool he was going to try to unalive himself with, in the least painful way possible. Judging by how he has returned it each time and how he has decided not to go through with it each time he has attempted shows he truly doesn't want to die, he's just in pain. Just from the first episode alone, we can already tell Danny is a hardworking guy. He works not for himself, but for others, and he even tries his hardest to get a house for his parents while also providing for his younger brother and making barely enough to live at his motel. Money is also a huge aspect of the show because, well, humanity, but Danny has genuine money problems, and he even put all of his money his cousin gave him into crypto in hopes of a big break. This shows his desperation. This shows how much he wants to provide for his friends, his family, the ones he cares about, the ones he loves. Not only does he have money problems, but he battles depression. He stress eats, and overall, he's just lonely. Another thing I like to add about Danny is that his breakdown scene was quite literally beautiful. Before this, Danny felt alone. He felt uncomforted. He felt abandoned. And in this moment, it's like the lyrics are talking to him, comforting him, being there for him along with everyone else at the place, and he just lets it all out. Honestly poetic, if you ask me. Next up, we have a girl, Amy. She is a very successful self-made millionaire who built her company up from nothing. She's essentially everything Danny wants to be. She's a very caring mother and does everything she can to provide in a system where she has to make all the money whilst her husband stays at home all day. But because it's only her putting in the work and having to be the provider, it leaves her lost. She works day and night to make sure her daughter's in a system where she doesn't have to struggle. To put it quite plainly, she is unhappy, she is tired. She has to put on fake personas every time her husband or her husband's mother, Fumi, is around. She grew up in a household where she was neglected, constantly heard that she was a mistake and never really talked about her own feelings, ever, so she's closed off. She even says to herself that the only time she could really remember being her true genuine self was when she was with her daughter and when she was born. Her daughter in general is the one piece of Amy that keeps her going, that motivates her. She wants to one day make enough so that she can stay at home and support her daughter 24/7, because she's the one thing that makes her feel alive. She is very clearly unhappy with her husband, despite loving him, and with a lack of intimacy, never showing anyone the real her, and always working, she's unhappy, depressed, and feels alone. And again, which is why, when she held Danny, she felt seen, because Danny and Amy are one and the same. As you can see, Danny and Amy are similar in so many ways, both alone, both battling depression, both hard workers, both trying to be good, but fail. They both yearn for happiness, yearn for a good life, yearn to make money, and they close their true selves off. It takes them to literally be starving in the woods with no one within a mile of them to actually show their true selves to someone else. The show in essence can be seen as two people trying to escape an abyss, an endless cycle of depression that slowly eats away at both of them, and has been their entire lives. Because Dan and Amy are one and the same, their hatred for one another is a reflection of their hatred for themselves. They both carry so much shame and self-hatred that when they see another person like them, they by nature would hate them. Due to these abysses, due to their fear of loneliness, due to their clear frustration with the world, it causes the people that they care about the most to become victims of their coping mechanisms, aka the beef. One of the biggest victims of the beef was Paul. I think Paul is one of the genuinely kind people in the show. I mean, look, despite being pretty lazy, he truly does care for Danny and always defends him when it's needed. He wants to mature and become a bigger person, but in a way, he's held back by his brother. And unfortunately, in one of the most emotional moments in the story, it's revealed that Danny held Paul back so that he could stay around him. Even though Danny did this because he cared about Paul, he truly messed with Paul's life, and right after this, it's presumed that Paul got killed. But thank fucking God he didn't, because when I saw that text, I actually had the biggest sigh of relief ever. Paul is a victim of the beef because Amy used Paul. She got to Paul through trying to catfish Danny and actually ended up catfishing Paul. Paul and Amy then got close, and they even had an affair. Amy played with Paul's feelings while also going at his brother the exact same time. George, like Paul, is also a victim. Although it personally seemed to me that George and Amy's relationship was completely and utterly fake and just two false personas putting on acts, they still blatantly and obviously loved one another and their daughter, of course, and it's unfortunate George had to be the victim of cheating. George and Paul are both victims to the beef because of Danny and Amy's selfish decisions. Overall, throughout the story, Paul and George can be perceived as genuinely good people, and unfortunately, it results in them being betrayed and dragged into a situation they should have never been in the first place. I believe beef is about humanity, how our moods affect our outlook, and through use of the domino effect, can it cause people to have misconceived judgments on other people. I think beef is telling us to try and have empathy for everyone, even the ones we consider our enemy. This is especially seen with how the camera will sit with the character a little longer than usual to visualize every emotion and detail, to see what they're going through, to cause us, the audience, to feel genuine empathy for them, the character. And they don't only just do this with Danny or Amy, but they do it with every single character, because that's just what a good character drama does. The characters aren't used in service of the plot, instead, the plot is in service of the characters. Every character within the show is given moments where the observer can't help but feel for them. Despite Danny and Amy going completely overboard and insane at times, they're deeply traumatized people that in the end are just trying not to feel alone. The base of their hatred for one another comes from one singular moment of rage, and it escalated into a full-on war. It isn't until they're battered down and broken in the woods till they actually have a genuine conversation with each other and hear each other out. This process is what causes them to put aside their differences and really empathize and listen to one another, and it's genuinely beautiful. Point is, all of us can be friends, all of us can love one another, all of us have the capabilities to empathize and understand. We just base our whole opinions on someone off of one interaction. As humans, we are too judgmental. We choose not to take the time and truly get to know someone. We have preconceived notions on others, and a lot of us really try to see people for how beautiful they are, despite all of the imperfections that come with being human. Beef encourages its viewer to start looking at other people from their perspective, imagine themselves in other people's shoes, and to truly just become kinder. To let go of those preconceived judgments, let go of our self-hatred, let go of that false persona, and to just be your true self, to be you, and to be kind with everyone, and if you do act in anger, work to make it right with whomever you may have hurt. Because maybe if we go that extra distance, and maybe if we look at what it's like to be in someone else's shoes, and maybe if we try to hear each other out, we could actually understand one another